Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2022 on a new episode of Cream, episode number 6.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. We're excited to get rolling with the Cream podcast. All right, Jason. So with 2022 upon us now and the new year, we're going to recap your economic predictions from 2021 and find out what you got right and what you got wrong.
Definitely. So the first thing I got wrong was interest rates. I thought interest rates was going to rise, and I was wrong. Interest rates actually has stayed flat and still at historical lows right now. Even though the 30-year mortgages have jumped up a little bit, we're still at historical lows.
Yeah. So you got that one wrong. And how about COVID shutdowns and regulations?
Especially as of today, as we're recording this, I was absolutely right where I thought we was going to have continued government shutdowns and regulations. And they actually have expanded now as we're seeing it more in schools, vaccination cards to go to certain places and restaurants, especially here in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Absolutely. And then more government furloughs for employees. I know this was a big one.
Yeah, and I was wrong about that. And the reason for that was I thought government was going to have a lot of financial issues. But it was not so many furloughs as we figure out how to adapt, have people work from home, and then based off of all the stimulus the federal government brought down to local and statewide government, we didn't have to see any furloughs for their employees.
Okay. And how about union fights and strikes?
This is an all-time high right now, union fights and strikes. We see it with Kellogg just strike to deal with their union strike. We see it with John Deere. We see it all across America right now, union strikes and fights right now. Major League Baseball, which I'm a big baseball guy, they're on a lockdown right now for their players. The owners locked them out. So I was right about that.
You were right about that. And how about local and state budget issues? That's a big one.
Oh, I was totally wrong on that. I didn't expect that how much money was going to get shipped down to local state governments. And so we didn't see any budget issues. I thought we was because of the lack of sales tax revenue, lack of people not going to stores, but adapted where people are start buying virtually and start buying even more and consuming more, which is 2/3 of our revenue in our economy that we grow.
Okay. And now here's one, inflation. Did you get that right?
Oh, I was double right, big time, right? So I thought I was going to have inflation, but we've seen the biggest inflation we ever seen in our lifetimes, or in my lifetime, which is over the last 40 years, is the highest inflation we have seen ever.
Yeah. So you did inflation, like you said, you were doubling down. We're saying you got that right twice. So we're counting that right twice. What about mass bankruptcies?
I was wrong with it. I thought we was going to see a record number of bankruptcies from companies. Companies just can't have to adapt or have to just shut down in the lost revenue. But I was totally wrong with it due to all the stimulus that did happen towards small businesses and even big corporations with the PPP programs and the EIDL company. I kept a lot of businesses of help them stay afloat during COVID.
And then evictions and foreclosures. How are you with your prediction on that?
This is going to go into my 2022. I think we're still going to see more evictions and foreclosures. But I just think we've been kicking the can and holding off from evicting and foreclosing with them due to a lot of government programs.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then COVID not going away quickly or decisively.
Oh, man, I actually got a double right for that one. Looks like COVID is not going to be the 2 weeks that we originally thought it was going to go to. I think COVID is going to be here possibly for the rest of our lifetime, unfortunately. But we're seeing COVID and the ramp up right now with this new Omicron variant that we have.
Yeah, it looks like the world's moving from pandemic to endemic, which means, like you said, we live with it. How about government gridlock?
Oh, we're seeing it more and more. We see it with the Democrats fighting with each other, with the guy from Virginia, and then the progressive liberals, and then with Joe Biden, we see with Republicans not working with Democrats. We see federal and state government fighting each other. So government gridlock is here, and we also see internationally as well with the issues of U.S. and China having gridlock with each other, where U.S. diplomats are not going to the Olympics. Winter Olympics next month, which is a very big deal.
That's a big deal. Yeah. So let me add all these up, all your 2021 predictions, and you came out 6-5. So you're a winning record. You're a winner in 2021.
Sweet.
And so next week on the podcast for episode number 7, we're actually going to have your 2022 predictions. And I'm sure you're going to go 10-0 on those. You're not going to get anything wrong, right?
Right. I'm going to be 10-0. Best predictions. They should have me on the NFL pregame shows on my predictions.
Well, there you go. I love it. All right, Jason, now on the Cream podcast. We just came out of the holidays. Holiday spending is up this year. A lot of it's on credit cards. People are losing their minds, whether it's in airplanes or in stores or just trying to act civil in society. So here's a question for you based on a stat I saw recently. How many Americans would actually physically fight someone over a toy or an item they wanted when shopping if it was in short supply? What's your guess?
I would say before COVID, it was 2 or 3%. But because of people with mental health now, I'll raise that up to 10 to 12% of the population would do something for a toy because of mental health and the supply chain shortage, and that people have lost their mind.
They've lost their minds. We agree on that. So you'd say about 1 in 10 Americans would actually throw hands to get that toy or that item that's in short supply on the shelves, huh?
Yes, I think America has lost its mind.
Well, the answer is 1 in 20, which is 5%. So you're pretty close, both your predictions before and now. And it may even be higher, right? Depending on when that poll was taken a couple months ago. But that's just bonkers. 1 in 20 Americans, which is like, 15, 20 million Americans, something like that, would actually physically fight someone just over buying something at a store.
Yeah, that's crazy. That means 20 million Americans are willing to commit assault for some products.
So the big question is, have you ever gotten in a fight in a store?
No, never. It's never that serious.
You're too classy for that. You don't do that. You don't,
Yeah, I'm too classy for it. I would never do that.
No, but if you did, what product would you fight over?
Ooh. I wouldn't fight over the new PlayStation 5. It's not that serious in PlayStation 5. I've never been a Jordan lover, so it would never be a pair of Jordans. Growing up, I was anti-Jordan. I was a big Gary Payton Supersonics fan, hoping that they won in 96 and destroy that 72-win record of the Bulls. Maybe a brand new car. It has to be a brand new luxury car, and they're giving it away for free.
Well, that's good, because then you could fight, you could win, you could pay real quick, get the keys, and drive away fast, huh?
If they're giving away for free, but it's not that serious.
Oh, that's great. For me, I think I'd fight someone right now over a box of peanut butter Captain Crunch. It's that's how important it is to me. That's how much I like it.
Oh, wow. It's some cereal.
But that's a stat. 1 in 20 Americans, 5% about, would fight someone over something in the stores, which is just crazy. Jason, in this segment, we're going to talk about the stock market. And of course, the U.S. has been on the most extended bull run in modern history. In fact, since March 9th, 2009, the S&P 500 has averaged 18.79% returns per year. That's incredible, almost 20%, and well into double digits returns per year. But if we go all the way back to 1990 instead of 2009, the historical returns are 10.6%, which may even be high 10% and double digits if we extend further back. So a lot of people this year in 2022 are going to be treating the stock market like it was 2021 and expect things to go up, up, up. But they should be a little bit cautious and temper their expectations, huh?
Yeah, definitely agree that they need to taper their expectations. I think a lot of people, especially younger people, have never been through a downturn. So they have these super high expectations that money's going to double like they saw in Bitcoin this year. They think the stock market's going to have crazy returns. But we have to be cautious. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility because the Federal Reserve already said they're going to taper off QE, which is the money printing machine that prints all this money. They're going to slow it down to fight inflation. They say might do it 3 times next year. And when that does happen, we usually see a lot of volatility in the stock market.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know a lot of people who are amateur investors like myself, just throw some money in the market and, You saw it going up, up, up. The mutual fund, anything you pick just kept going up in 2021. But 2022 is going to be a lot trickier, a lot more volatility, like you said. And so that's why it's so much more important to have the advice of a good financial planner like yourself.
Definitely. It definitely is to help you during the volatility and crazy times and really put everything in perspective.
I think you told me once when there was, there's some days where stock market goes crazy and days where it feels like it's crashing or, it loses a lot of its value. And I think you told me a long time ago, hey, I don't earn my money from my clients when the market's going up and they make money. I earn my money by protecting the downside. And when everyone else is crashing, we're better diversified, or we saw it coming, or we weren't as greedy as others. And so they lose a lot less. And therefore, in the bigger picture, they gain a lot more. So that was pretty wise words that you told me.
Definitely. And also during those downturns, you can take full advantage of it. When the market's going down, people might not have the liquidity or cash. And if you do have the liquidity and cash, or you might have a little bit of money on the sidelines, you can take advantage of these downturns by buying when things are very cheap and low.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? And that's dollar cost averaging. If you buy when things are low, you could get more of it for the same money, and then it grows. And so the kids call it buying on the dip, I guess, but it's been around forever. It just means buy low and hold, or buy low and sell high. All right, Jason, now on the Cream podcast, we're going to talk about something that's not as sexy as financial planning and investing and making money and these other topics, but it's probably just as important, which is password safety. And everyone has multiple scores of passwords these days for different logins and sites and accounts, everything online, on their phone, on their computer. And they're getting hacked left and right, and financial criminals are growing exponentially in the United States and abroad. So Jason, let me ask you, what's your favorite password?
My kid's birthday.
Oh man, you shouldn't have told us. Now the whole world knows your password.
That's the worst mistake people make, is probably their password, I'm assuming, for their kids, or their home address.
Yeah. Their own birthday, their kids' birthdays, they say, are horrible ones, or your home address or something like that. So I actually saw some really interesting data from Statista, and I'm a big data geek. I'm a big numbers geek. So they were talking about what makes your password safe, and they rank it sort of this chart I'm looking at, red, orange, yellow, green, how safe. And they did this, they assigned those colors by how long it would take a computer to crack a password. So for instance, they don't just have individuals trying to get into your Facebook or your bank account. They have computers running these simulations, billions of combinations over and over, lightning speed. So if you have, for instance, one character in your password, which isn't even allowed, and it's lowercase only, it's going to be instant. If you have 8 characters in your password and it's lowercase only, it's still going to be instant. That's how effective and fast these computers are that could crack passwords. So what we start doing is start adding at least one uppercase letter. So let's say with one uppercase letter and 8 lowercase letters, now it's going to take the computer 22 minutes. Still not very safe, right?
Right.
So then if we do at least one uppercase letter and a number and 8 lowercase letters, it's still only an hour to get in. And then you add a symbol to that, and then it gets up to 8 hours. So here's how to do the most safest and most effective passwords. You want about 12 letters in your password, which is usually the maximum they'll allow. You want uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. You want to mix them all up. By doing that, you range from anywhere from 400 years to 34,000 years for a computer to crack your individual password.
Wow.
And that's when you're in the green on this chart. We'll post this on your social media, but so it's really interesting with passwords. It makes a huge difference, not just saying the name of your dog and your birthday or something like that in lowercase, but when you start mixing up those crazy numbers, letters, uppercase, lowercase that don't mean anything. They're not names, they're not places, they're not years. Then that's when your passwords really get safe.
That's very good that's good to know, especially during all this hacking, the financial losses that you might receive, the issues you're going to have even trying to recover all that information. So that's huge.
It is. And do you do something special? Do you have like a application or a service, or like how do you record and save and keep your passwords safe?
I am old school. I write them all down in a notebook when I know I should use a service, but that's what I do. I know there's a website you can use that saves all your passwords as well.
You know, I'm sort of like you. I travel a lot, right? I have clients' passwords. I have different computers. I'm in and out. I'm logging into Wi-Fi. So I use a combination of things. You know, I definitely use the automatic password autofill that the computer offers. I write stuff down as well. And I actually have it like in a safe place, usually actually a safe or something locked up. But what I do is have a little internal code. So for every letter or number, like I'll mix in, let's say C9. So all my passwords, there may be a C9 in the middle of it. I know that's not real. So I could take that out. But if someone saw it and they thought C9 was part of it, they would put that in there and they'd be kicked out. It wouldn't be the correct password. So that's another quick little hack to keep your passwords safe if you're writing them down.
That's a good point. I might take that from you.
Yeah, go for it. But definitely people need to do something to be more safe with their passwords. To that point, the most popular passwords last year were number one in the whole world was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 asterisks. Right?
That's crazy.
Number two was the word picture and then one.
That's
number
weird. I would not have thought that one.
No, I don't get that one. Number three, you're gonna laugh. The third most popular password in the world was password.
You're never going to figure this out. You won't just put password and I'm never going to figure it out.
And then it goes down the list like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. QWERTY, QWERTY, because that's basically just going from left to right on your keyboard. So that's just what not to do with your passwords. We gave you a couple quick tips and how to keep them safe. And we'll post on the Jason Matthews social media and the MFIS website some better tips for keeping your passwords and your data safe in 2022. And Jason, now in the podcast, you're going to share a product or service that's really helping a lot of your clients and their finances. What do you have for us today, Jason?
Yeah, the product is asset-based long-term care insurance. So how asset-based long-term care insurance, where it's great is, if right now you're currently getting 1% or less of money that's sitting in your bank, you're not going to use that money for any emergencies. It's just sitting there and you don't have no plans for it in the future. You're usually over the age of 50 and you need some type of long-term care, consider asset-based long-term care insurance. What it usually does, it gives you 3 to 4 times the amount of money you put into the product for the use of long-term care. If you ever need the cash, that money, you can always get all your cash back. But if you do need long-term care, you have that assistance. And if you pass away without using it, 3 or 4 times of that goes to your beneficiaries and your heirs. So if you have money sitting there, consider asset-based long-term care insurance.
That's a great one. Great product that's helping a lot of people. So thank you for that, Jason. And now in the Cream Podcast, we're going to have part 1 of Jason Matthews' interview with Tory Brown and Julian Peebles of Common Ground Spirits. Enjoy.
Everybody on the Cream Podcast today, we have a special guest. We have the co-founders of Common Ground Spirits, Tory Brown and Julian Peebles. Welcome to the Cream Podcast. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, Jason. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Definitely. You know, it's special. These guys are real good friends. They've been doing some really good works. We don't see that many brothers in the spirit business. So what I wanted to do is just hear about you guys' story, how you guys came around, and learn a little bit more about you guys, hear about you guys' story. So first question is, how do you two guys started doing Common Ground Spirits?
Yeah, good question. You know, Tory and I have been, friends for quite a while. And, we've tried different things, throughout the years, kicked around different ideas and things like that. And as we looked at the spirits industry, we kind of noticed that there's a lot of craft spirits brands coming on board. We both enjoy craft spirits and nice, rum or bourbon or what have you. And we thought we could find our place. We also noticed that there weren't a lot of us in the industry, and thought that bringing some diversity to the spirits industry would be great.
Nice. And so tell us a bit more about your guys' spirits. Which lines you guys have for you guys' spirits?
Yeah, we started out, our vision was to go ahead and produce bourbon, which we did last year, 2020. We distilled and barreled, a few barrels, but we're going to age them for about 4 years. Hopefully we'll get to, we'll be able to bottle them in 2024. We'll have 3 different expressions. One will be, your regular original bourbon out the barrel. A few of the barrels we have inserted French oak spirals, which seem to have sped up the aging process from a few of the veteran bourbon drinkers in the industry. They say we can actually bottle that right now, and it would sell. It tastes pretty good. And the last expression will be we're going to age some barrels in either some port or sherry barrels. So we'll have 3 different expressions for our bourbon. And this year, 2021, we launched a couple of gins. Our first is the basil and elderflower, which we launched in June. That was inspired by Julian was over in Ireland on some business and came across this drink called the Flow and Basie, which is made with fresh basil, elderflower liqueur, lime, hint of some sweetener, agave or what have you. And essentially we tried to bottle that drink, and we've done a pretty good job, I believe. We won a bronze award in a couple of different tasting competitions, one being the San Francisco competition, spirits competition rather, and the other one, the ADI. So from that, it's, both of our gins are contemporary, and from this particular gin, you get a floral and citrus notes on it. You get a nice herbaceous bouquet of basil on the nose with a unique, fresh, fruity, and floral finish of elderflower on the palate. Getting some pretty good responses back from it. We're happy with it. And our second gin expression is the blackcurrant and thyme. This is brought forth from the love of foodie shows that Julian watches. He's our local in-house gin botanical pairing specialist here. So with that, you get a more savory, vivid citrus note on the nose, dried fruit and herbs on the palate, and with a nice spicy finish, which is from the peppercorn that we use in the gin. So they're both contemporary gins, meaning none juniper forward, but they each have their own separate lane in the gin industry. We think they both do well in their own lane with different cocktails.
Just add a little bit on there. I think what we've noticed is a lot of people, as we talk about gin, they're like, oh, wait, gin, I don't know if I want that. Right? And I think a lot of people have had bad experiences with gin in the past where a lot of the things I've heard is I don't want to, bite on the Christmas tree and things like that. What we've really done, as Tory has explained, is really tried to make the other botanicals sing forward in our gins and not have juniper be the forward botanical that people are tasting. So, really trying to make other botanicals sing forward and not have juniper be the primary notes in our gin. So I think they pair well with a variety of different cocktails. And one thing that most gins can't say that we can is that you can enjoy these both neat, on the rocks, and sip it just like you would, some nice tequila or bourbon.
Right. Yeah, good point. Being that we're mostly brown drinkers, most of the people we know are brown drinkers. So essentially we try to come up with a product that you can, as Julian mentioned, just sip out the bottle, pour a glass and taste like we would do, with a brown drink or liquor. And from the reviews we've received, we've been successful in doing that. I think one of the main issues we have, with us is everybody that's drank gin back in the early 20s or whatnot, you drink what you can afford, and
Gin make you sin, they said.
yes, bubbly face gin, right? And it left a foul taste in our mouth. We haven't really drank gin since. So we didn't even start drinking gin again until we start producing it, and that's because we made it, with the belief we can make something that is comparable to a brown, being able to drink out the bottle versus having to drink it with juice, quote unquote.
Nice. So what'd be a good drink for during this holiday season, now that we're in Christmas time and New Year's, where people could celebrate too with you guys' cocktails?
Yeah, great question. So I think there are a few. So if we look at and Tory, let you talk about the old fashioned one, but if we look at a few others, with our second gin, the Black Currant and Thyme, we've had somebody do a play on Negroni and made a chocolate Negroni. So adding some chocolate bitters into the Negroni that has really made it kind of holiday forward and really fresh and new from a Negroni standpoint. And I think with our first gin, the basil and elderflower, kind of bring out more of the holiday, botanicals and spirits. I think that we've made a gimlet that incorporates a fresh basil simple syrup with a gimlet that's really, really great and refreshing. So I think those are two that could go great. And I think Tory had one with the old fashioned as well.
Yeah, with the made out of with the gin too, or Black Currant and Thyme. It's called the Timeless. It's also found on our recipe link on our website. It basically it's a gin old fashioned. So if you're a fan of old fashions, with your brown liquor, you're going to enjoy this just as much. Same derivative you get out of it. I've tried it, and old fashioned is one of my go-to drinks. So I was really impressed with this drink that was mixed for us by a mixologist.